Hey Husker fans, Bowl Watch, week number 2 with the 3 keys. Hello everybody, I'm Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald and Husker Extra. This is the 3 keys to Nebraska, Maryland. All right, there you go. Huskers were unable to get their 6th win up in East Lansing, Michigan. Believe me, it was a thrill a minute up there. The Huskers kind of started flat, right? And they closed late, but they weren't able to close the deal. And so they fall to 5-4 overall, 3-3 in the Big Ten West. Yes, they still have a chance of winning the Big Ten West, so they'll probably take winning out, and that would mean beating Maryland. If the Huskers beat Maryland, they'll qualify for their first bowl since 2016. And no, we don't count the 2020 season when they could have accepted a bowl bin at 3 wins and would have been ridiculous. Fortunately, Nebraska voted not to do that in 2020, so now they have an opportunity to really earn that bowl trip. This is a big game for the Huskers. This is a game that, in a lot of ways, Maryland's a 2.5-point favorite, but everybody's going to call this a winnable game. The bridge seems tough, right? The bridge seems a little far going to Wisconsin, and then that last game, Iowa. I don't know. That's a tricky team to play with a lot on the line. The Huskers feeling a little pressure, I thought, at East Lansing. They weren't able to win. Let's get to the first key, tread on the Terps' tires. Okay. Maryland is not a good team in November. They have never been a good team in November since they've joined the Big Ten. It's a challenging physical league. I know that people's ears fold over and eyes glaze over when Iowa plays the game that they play against Northwestern, or Wisconsin's playing Illinois, or whatever, right? I get it. I understand. But it's not easy to play in the Big Ten. It really isn't. It's challenging. It's hard. Just not easy at all. And Maryland has learned that the hard way. They've struggled to stay together and physically held up once they get to that November part of the season when there are no bye weeks and you're playing every single week in November, and you get hurt, you get banged up. Your offensive and defensive line aren't 100%. Your quarterback might be a little banged up. Your running backs too. And Maryland has really struggled in November. How much have they struggled? I think they're 4-22. Since 2016. It's just not good. And Nebraska, that plays in Nebraska's favor, let's be honest. Nebraska's beat up too. But they have more guys, they have more depth, they have a bigger roster, they're more physical, even though it's not going to be real chilly on Saturday. Actually, it's going to be pretty nice, maybe around 55, 60 degrees. It's still going to be a grind for Maryland. They've lost 4 in a row, and they've lost a couple to teams that aren't that great. They're just not that great. I mean, Illinois and Northwestern are 2 teams that Nebraska beat. And then just most recently, they lost to Penn State, and they lost 51-15. And the game was a little bit not quite as bad as the score suggests, but, Maryland's wearing down. And so Nebraska's got to be able to have a physical prowess in this game. They've got to be edgy from the very beginning. We've talked a lot about that. We've talked a lot about that in our 3 keys, because I get the sense that Matt Rule has developed the team for stamina and for longevity in the course of a game, but they stink starting a game. Let's be just honest. They're not very good at the beginning of games. They're not. Their offense is not good at all. I mean, their offense is just not good. And their defense has been pretty good. I mean, too very good. But they don't start games very well. And they need to start a game well. Maryland has been down 14-0 to Charlotte and 14-0 to Virginia. And I think 14-0 to Penn State. I could go on and on, right? So Maryland's not a team that comes out like a house on fire either. Nebraska needs to do something about that. Maybe score a touchdown. Maybe mix in a salad in the first quarter. Key number 2, number 3, getting free. That's Talia Tagovailoa. That is Maryland's quarterback. He is a younger brother of Tua, and he's really good. He is obviously 21 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, doesn't have Bo Nix stats, but hey, the Big Ten's way tougher than the Pac-12 defensively. Same is true of the Big 12. That's a guy that's just as good as Dylan Gabriel at Oklahoma. He's every bit that good. So he's got a lot of skills. He's got a lot of talent. He is a guy that can go make plays off script, right? He can scramble around. He can make throws. He can make throws running to the left, to the right. He's actually at times more dangerous outside of the pocket than he is in the pocket. And Nebraska's going to bring heat on this guy for sure. But can he get out? And if he gets out, is he scrambling? Is he finding receivers downfield? Remember, Nebraska runs man coverage a lot. Not all the time, but a lot. Maybe they'll change that for this game. Maybe they'll have more zone coverage in this game. Make Tagovailoa, figure it out. but they run a lot of man coverage. And so if the quarterback gets out and all of a sudden you're playing scramble drill and you're making decisions on the fly, right? You're improvising. Hey, Maryland's got good receivers. They got better receivers than all of the teams that Nebraska's played since Michigan. And they might have better receivers than Michigan, to be really honest with you. So this isn't a group that you screw around with where you don't feel like you're going to get hurt because, doesn't matter that much. No, Maryland will hurt you. Caden Prather can play the game. Jayshon Jones can play the game. They have good players. And so Nebraska's going to have to do a really good job of keeping this guy, in the pocket and make him throw over people. He's not real tall. He's about 6'1.5", 6'2". So if you can keep him in the pocket and you can get those hands up of the defensive lineman, you're going to have a better day than if he gets out and is out on the edge looking downfield to make 25, 30-yard throws. Nebraska cannot let this guy get out. And they have let some quarterbacks get out. Let's be clear. Hudson Card got out. He wasn't able to hit the throws, but he got out. So Luke Altmaier got out. So if this guy gets out, and he's going to make more plays than Altmaier and Card did. Last key, it's Blitz. Not only is this a title of a really good Yeah Yeah Yeahs album, but it's what Maryland's going to do to Nebraska, I think. Right? So Maryland's done this to a lot of teams. They blitz a lot, and they blitz their middle linebackers. We're talking, well, I don't know what they call it at Maryland. Maybe they call it cross terps blitz. But, cross dogs, middle dogs blitzes. They will bring guys right up the middle, right in a quarterback's face. And I'll tell you what, Heinrich Haarberg, Nebraska's quarterback, he's pretty tough against the blitz. Like, he gets away at times. He'll scramble. But he's not a guy that goes lateral. So if one thing that Tagovailoa can do is like Tommy Armstrong used to be able to do, he can pirouette and he can spin outward like that. That's not what Heinrich Haarberg does. Haarberg moves up in the pocket and tries to break a tackle. He goes straight ahead, but he's not going to move. He's not going to roam real hard to his right or left. And so Maryland's probably going to bring heat right up the middle. Ben Scott, Justin Evans Jenkins, Henry Lutovsky, or Nuri Nwili. It's going to be their life, right? They're going to get punches right up the middle, and Nebraska's got to be ready for that. Emmett Johnson's got to be ready for that. If Maryland's able to bring a blitz and they're able to sack Haarberg, 6, 7, 8 times the way that Michigan State did, it's going to be a long day. It's just going to be a long day. Nebraska's got to find a way to not only stop the blitz, but then win. When they bring 6, you got to win your one-on-one matchups. If they bring 6, there's only 5 guys out in cover. That's man coverage. If they bring 5, they got 6, but that's a little bit of zone, but a lot of times you're going to get a one-on-one matchup when you're only covering with 6. So Nebraska's got to find a way to win in this game. They got to find a way to win. They've got to find a way to win downfield, and their quarterback needs to keep his wits about him, and they got to pick up that blitz. I suspect that's what Maryland will do. Northwestern burned Maryland with screen passes. I don't know. Nebraska doesn't have a lot of screens, but maybe they'll have one for this game. Penn State was able to do it just by throwing the football and Drew Aller having a really good day. Those are the 2 games that I watched. So 2 most recent games, I think. So I think Nebraska's got probably a plan for this, but we'll see what kind of plan they have. Okay, so what do I think is going to happen? Well, I'll be honest with you. If Maryland wasn't so bad in November, if this game was on September 30th, I'd pick Maryland by 7 to 10, to be really honest with you. I think Maryland's got a little bit better team. I think they're a little healthier. I think they're a little deeper. I think they're a little more talented. I think Nebraska's been through a lot of coaches, a lot of recruiting cycles, whereas Mike Loxley has kind of built it up to where I would say this is probably his most complete roster at Maryland. It may not be his best team. They're only 5-4, but this is his most complete roster. I don't think this is going to be Matt Rule's most complete roster by any stretch of the imagination. But Maryland's really bad in November. So that's what it comes down to. Are they too worn down? Are they physically beaten? Or do they come with a punch against Nebraska and beat them? I think it's going to be a really interesting game. I won't be surprised if Maryland wins it. I won't be surprised if Nebraska wins it. The Huskers have to come out angry and playing with an edge. If they do that, maybe they got a chance of winning their 6th game and going to a bowl. Okay, that is our 3 keys for this week. Thanks for listening, Husker fans. I'm Sam McKewon with the Omaha World-Herald and Husker Extra.